Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely informed. We sift through the research, the articles you give us, and pull out the key insights, the context you need.
And today, we're diving into Japanese racing history. Specifically, the story of a horse who wasn't just a champion. He really defined the end of an era.
Right, we're talking about Tamamo Cross, the Gray Stallion. He had these great nicknames, the White Lightning of Naniwa.
And often called the last great hero of the Showa era. It's more than just race results. It's about this horse who came from almost nowhere. An unwanted horse, really.
Yeah, the sources paint him as this classic outsider who somehow becomes this immovable force, defining that final moment before the next big wave hit Japanese racing.
Exactly. So our mission here is to trace that path. How did he break through? What made his rise so stunning? And of course, that legendary rivalry with Oguri Cap.
The veteran versus the young star. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Born in 1984, his sire, CV Cross. He was also called White Lightning, right? And also Gray.
Correct. So the name, the color, the speed, it was definitely in the bloodline. And his dam, Green Chateau, she was tough too.
She produced another G1 winner.
Yes, Mihama Papi.
Yeah.
So there was quality there. Sadly, Green Chateau actually passed away while Tamamo Cross was still racing. Adds a bit of, well, poignancy to his story, carrying on that legacy.
But it wasn't an easy start for him. Far from it. He debuted late, lost his first race as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, spring of '87. Definitely not bursting onto the scene. And then things got psychologically tough.
How so?
Well, after he finally won a race on dirt, his next start was on turf, and he took a really bad fall. Physically, he recovered, but mentally. The sources stress this. He developed a serious fear of other horses. Like, being in the pack terrified him.
Wow. How does that even work for a racehorse? They have to run together.
It basically paralyzes them in a race. They won't go between horses. They hesitate. They just shut down.
Yeah.
And this led directly to 4 straight losses on dirt. He looked like, maybe just another bust.
Okay, so this is where the story takes a turn. A big one.
Huge. His trainer decides, maybe as a last resort, let's try him back on turf. And the result was just explosive.
He won by 7 lengths, wasn't it?
Demolished them by 7. But the key thing, the thing that made everyone sit up and take notice, was the time.
Faster than a major stakes race run that day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Faster than the Grade 2 Kyoto Shimbun High run under the exact same conditions. That showed it wasn't a fluke. He wasn't just beating lesser horses. He was running championship-level time. Suddenly, he's a rising star.
Okay, so he overcomes the fear, unlocks this incredible speed. But there's a twist, right? Something about the farm.
Yeah, and this really underscores that rise from nothing theme.
Yeah.
Just as he's hitting these highs, like winning the G2 Naro Kennen right after that big turf win, the breeding farm that produced him, it went bankrupt.
No way. So while he's finally winning,
The people who bred him, who should have been celebrating in the winner's circle, were gone. There was literally no one to accept the breeder's trophy.
that's incredible. He's this champion emerging, completely disconnected from the usual support structure, just pure will.
It definitely added to his mystique, his connection with the public as this ultimate underdog.
So that sets the stage for his 4-year-old season, 1988. This is where he goes from rising star to, well, dominant force.
Absolutely dominant. Kicks off the year winning the Sports Nippon Sho Kimpai, a G3. And the way he did it, coming from behind, the sources say he sliced through the pack like a knife.
So the fear was gone, replaced by pure aggression.
Seems like it. And then came the Hanshin Daishoten, a G2. If the Kimpai showed speed, this one showed pure grit.
What happened there?
He got completely stuck. Boxed in, traffic everywhere, looked like he had no chance, but he just fought his way through and somehow managed a dead heat for the win.
Wow. So he could win flashy and he could win ugly. That's the mark of a real champion.
Exactly. It showed he wasn't just a front runner or lucky. He could handle adversity in a race. And that set him up perfectly for the big ones.
The G1s. This is where he becomes known as Japan's best stayer, right? Long-distance king.
Precisely. First up, the Tenno Sho. Spring. Grueling distance. And he was brilliant. Came from way back, thought a tiny gap on the rail, and just surged through. Yeah. Won by 3 lengths.
3 lengths in a top-level staying race is,
yeah,
that's domination.
Total domination. And he proved it wasn't a one-off. 2 months later, he takes the Takarazuki Kennen, another huge G1. By the middle of summer '88, the narrative had completely flipped. The unwanted horse. Now he was considered unstoppable.
Unstoppable. But as always in great sports stories, a challenger appears.
Enter Oguri Cap. Younger, also Gray, coming up from the regional tracks, building this massive popular following.
The stage was set for the showdown of the two Grays.
In the Tenno Sho autumn. And this race, this was fascinating strategically because Tamamo Cross was the proven stayer, king of the long distances.
But the autumn Tenno Sho is shorter, 2,000 meters. That's more of a middle distance, demands more speed, right?
Exactly. It requires a different kind of acceleration, a quicker burst. And, well, almost everyone doubted Tamamo Cross could handle it. Stayers often get outkicked at that distance. The thinking was his winning streak ends here.
So huge pressure on the trainer. How do you make a long-distance grinder win a speed test?
They did something completely unexpected. Gold. Instead of his usual tactic, sit back, wait, then unleash that powerful late run.
They send him to the front.
Put him right on the lead, controlled the pace from the get-go. It was a massive gamble. Burn out early, and you finish last.
Why take that risk?
Well, looking back, it seems they figured two things. One, it eliminated the risk of getting trapped in traffic, like in the Hanshin Daishoten. Two, it meant Oguri Cap wouldn't get too big a lead turning for home. They basically dared everyone else to keep up with Kamamo's relentless power, even at a faster pace.
And it worked.
Perfectly. Oguri Cap made his run, came charging late, but Tamamo Cross held him off. Won by 1 1/4 lengths. His 8th straight win, 3rd straight G1.
Just incredible, and that win made history, didn't it?
Huge history. He became the first horse ever to win both the spring and autumn Tenno Sho in the same year. That feat alone puts him in the pantheon of greats.
So after 8 straight wins, the streak had to end sometime. The Japan Cup.
Yeah, the international stage, he finished second. And the sources suggest it wasn't that he was outrun necessarily, but more out-strategized.
By the American horse, Pay the Butler.
Right. Described as using clever tactics.
Yeah.
Essentially stayed just clear enough of Tamamo's late charge. A close loss, but, it set up this incredibly poetic final race.
The Arimakinen, his farewell.
And not just his farewell. It was the last G1 race of the entire Showa era in Japan. The timing was unbelievable.
Wow. So it became this huge symbolic event?
It was immediately dubbed the last great duel of Showa. Tamamo Cross, probably feeling the effects of that long, tough year, against the young star Oguri Cap one last time.
And this time, Oguri Cap got him.
Fist by half a length. But the symbolism was immense. It was like watching the torch being passed, the Showa hero, the veteran, giving way to the new phenom who would define the next era, the Heisei boom. Tamamo Cross was that final, defiant stand.
So he retires after that. What about his stud career? The sources mention he didn't sire a G1 winner himself. Was that seen as a letdown?
In some circles, maybe, but it's too simplistic to call it a failure. He didn't produce another superstar like himself, or Oguri Cap did, sure, but he was a very solid sire.
How so?
He produced plenty of good, tough, graded stakes winners, G2, G3 level horses. He established reliable bloodlines that kept contributing to Japanese racing. Consistency, soundness, that was his contribution as a stallion.
So again, maybe not flashy, but solid, dependable, kind of like his own early story.
Exactly. It fits his narrative. His legacy wasn't about replicating his G1 brilliance and his offspring, but about passing on that toughness. He passed away in 2003, colic, at age 19.
So when you pull it all together, the tough start, the fear, the bankruptcy, the incredible winning streak, the Tenno Sho double, that final duel, why does he resonate so strongly still?
I think it's the heart. He represents that idea that pure will, sheer courage, can overcome everything. Being unwanted, being from a failed farm, facing psychological demons. He conquered it all. He was that essential bridge between two eras, the horse who had to be overcome for the future to arrive.
Truly lightning in motion. He absorbed every setback, the fall, the fear, the farm closing, and turned it into fuel. And those races against Oguri Cap, they weren't just races, they were like a national conversation playing out on the track.
Absolutely. And his legacy, for you listening, is maybe a reminder that success isn't always defined by being the biggest star or having the most famous offspring like Oguri Cap later did. Sometimes greatness is being that warrior who stands firm, defines the end of something important with nothing but relentless heart.
So here's something to think about after this deep dive. When we look back at history, how much do we celebrate the wall, the Tamamo Cross figure who holds the line, versus just focusing on the flood, the new wave that inevitably comes after?
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more. Check out our other videos for more stories you might enjoy.